years and how the Progressive has dealt with it right up until today. I mean, right up until the telecoms, AT&T, Verizon, spying on the American people at the behest of the U.S. government.
Yeah, we've been looking at these civil liberties infringements that were so flagrant during Bush-Cheney, but they didn't start again with Bush-Cheney. And, you know, I did a little column called McCarthyism Watch, where every month almost I would write about some person who's getting his or her rights violated because the government is snooping on them or infiltrating their organization, as you talked at the top of the hour about some of these Muslim groups in California being infiltrated. This has a long and sordid history in the United States, and the Progressive has always been calling out the U.S. government on it.
I want to ask what you said about these ridiculous bank bailouts. What is ridiculous about them, and what would you do?
Well, it's just outrageous that we have given hundreds of billions of dollars. It's going to be upwards probably of $2 trillion to these banks. We essentially own Citigroup right now, but we aren't operating Citigroup. We're not operating the banks in the people's interest. We should own these banks, nationalize them, not nationalize them just to give them back to the banks after we scrub their asset seats, nationalize them and run them for the people, give loans to businesses, give loans to homeowners. It's ridiculous. We've overbought Citigroup right now, and we don't even run it.
How do you explain the differing traditions in Wisconsin? You talked about La Follette. You talked about McCarthy. Explain right through today the politics of Wisconsin.
Well, those are two extremes, and we see those. We see the left with Fighting Bob LaFollette and his principles for what are the best things in this country. I mean, really tried to redeem the promise of America. And then on the right, you have Joe McCarthy, who was, we had McCarthyism in this country before Joe McCarthy, but he is the poster boy of red baiting and of slander and using the government's weight to ruin people's lives. And so we have in Wisconsin, as we do across the country, we have people who have an authoritarian mindset, who want to listen to someone who says, we need to be more like a police state. And we even have it today with people saying we need to torture or we need to spy, or during the Iraq War, 30% of the American people, or some ridiculous number like that, said people shouldn't be able to protest in the streets against the war. So we have this strain, not only in Wisconsin, but across the country, Amy, of people who don't really appreciate the essential liberties of this country. And so we're fighting against that. And we saw some of that ugliness with some of the teabagging that was going on a couple of weeks ago.
Matt Rothschild, finally, this weekend, what you're doing. Last night was quite a rip-roaring event at the Orpheum here in Madison, Wisconsin, with Dora Williams, with Ani DeFranco, with the Indigo Girls. But now you have 2 days of, explain what's happening.
Well, we have a conference going on in about an hour and a half called the Progressive Movement Then and Now, and we're just flattered and humbled that so many great speakers are coming. Barbara Ehrenreich, Naomi Klein, Katha Pollitt, Howard Zinn. Robert Redford is coming out, and he never comes out to Madison and gives a talk, so a lot of people haven't seen him. And we're going to go, and also we've got Dennis Kucinich and Russ Feingold and several other members of Congress, Jan Schakowsky and Keith Ellison. We're going to look at a whole range of issues that have been central to the progressive movement, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing it, too.
Well, Matt Rothschild, happy birthday. Happy 100th anniversary of the Progressive magazine.
Thanks.
Matt Rothschild is the editor of the Progressive. The latest issue is called 1909 to 2009, 100 Years. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. When we come back, we'll be joined by University of Wisconsin professor Alfred McCoy. We'll talk about the issue of torture. Stay with us.
All right, well,